Welcome to the Policy Project. This is a podcast series by Policybazaar.ae where we talk about something that's deeply personal, something that's very misunderstood, and let's be honest, a lot more important than we give it credit for. And what we're talking about is term life insurance. Now, when we think about term life insurance, I think we often think of people in their 60s and 70s, people my parents' generation. But actually, is it really relevant for people who are in their 30s and 40s, young, like us? Well, what if I told you that term life insurance is not really about death? It's about life itself. It's about protecting all the things that we work so hard to build, our homes, our families, our careers, our businesses. What if I told you it's about protecting that? That's what we're diving into in today's conversation. It's all about why term life insurance matters and why it matters today. Well, on the show with us, we've got Neeraj. Neeraj is the man behind Policybazaar's life insurance business, and he's spent years and years and years talking to families about their finances. And I've got Shilpa Chitanand, the head of sales and distribution at Zurich International Life, a brand that has been synonymous with protection and trust for generations.
Thank you.
Welcome onto the show.
Thanks, Malvika.
Neeraj, let's start from the very top, right? Most people know that insurance is important. Yes, it is important, but it's something that I'm going to get to later. I'll talk about it at the end of the year. I'll talk about it at the beginning of the year. I'll talk about it around my birthday, but nobody actually gets down to doing it. Why do you think it's got such a bad rep?
See, when you look at insurance, right, people have a mental block. In the sense, you don't want to talk about a loss. You don't want to talk about something bad which is going to happen, right? And typically that is how you start associating insurance with. Whereas insurance is more about protecting your loved ones. So if you look at the other way, it is more about love, right? How do you secure your family's future? How do you protect them? What you've been working hard towards saving and protecting for them, right? And that is how I believe the conversation is to flip around. And we need to start talking about what is it protecting, not when it comes into use, when you have a loss, but what essentially are you protecting? And I believe once we are able to do that, then the conversation will start to change.
Absolutely. I must ask you, Shilpa, do you feel that things have changed post-pandemic?
Yes, Malvika. So the last few years we've all seen a vulnerable side of ourselves. We've all realized how fragile life can be, and that value for life and the life of our loved ones is seen at a very different light. So like when you started off, you're saying that insurance used to be perceived for those in their 60s and 70s, but we have seen such a definite shift in the mindset of working professionals who are in their 30s today.
Right.
They look at life insurance as a necessity and not as an option.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. But Neeraj, you have hundreds of these conversations every week, every year. If you had to put it down to basics, why should someone buy term life insurance?
See, term life insurance, if you look at it, is it about securing, protecting for everything that you've worked for, right? It could be your house, your family, your child's education, everything that you've been planning for in the future, right? And that is what term life gives you. Typically, people plan their life about, okay, I'm 30, 35, I'm going to earn till 60, I'm going to have savings, I'm going to have investment plans, I'm going to put my money XYZ place, it's going to give me so much returns. So when my kid goes to college, I'll have a pool. Now, what happens when it's not there, right? Because when you're not there. So it's about ensuring that after you, your family, your loved ones have the life that you'll always dreamed of. So that is how you look at term life insurance.
Absolutely. But I must say, sometimes people think insurance is a bit of a luxury, right? Is it expensive? Is it something that everyone can afford? Or is it just meant for the creme de la creme?
Yeah. Unfortunately, this is a very, very big myth when people look at insurance. One would think to buy life insurance of, let's say, 1 million dirhams. It would cost you an arm and a leg. But what would you say if I told you that a 30-year-old healthy adult applies for a life insurance of 1 million dirhams and the cost is less than one dinner outside? So that's as low as it can cost if one really looks at it. There are so many options today. There are so many add-ons that you can look at. But if you're looking at very, very basic life insurance, term insurance, 1 million dirhams is less than a meal outside in a restaurant.
Wow. And how unthinkingly we spend money on that meal or that new pair of shoes or a new bag or a whim, which we may or may not even use, right? So what are the common reasons why people actually skip buying term life insurance?
I see a couple of reasons, right? One is obviously, as we've been discussing, people don't want to think about it. People think it's going to be expensive. It's complicated. I don't need it. I am young. I have enough savings. But yes, unfortunately, the reality is very different, right? Today, if something were to happen to the main person who's earning for the family, if he or she is not there, a lot of times the family which has been left behind would not even know where to start from a financial perspective, right? And looking at term life, obviously it cannot cover up the emotional loss, but it can definitely mellow it down by ensuring that financials are taken care of.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that is where we are.
If you had to clarify one sort of thing that frustrates you, a conversation that you're having far too many times, if you had to clarify this one misunderstanding, what would it be?
Well, it's very, very frustrating when people start looking at insurance as a purely financial transaction. I paid so many premiums. If I don't die or if I don't get ill, I get nothing in turn. And just taking forward from what Neeraj was just saying, right? Insurance is an act of love. Talking about death, talking about ensuring that your loved ones are taken care of, it's an act of love. It goes way beyond the dirhams that you've paid for it or the dollars that you've paid for it. It has far more emotional value than people perceive.
Yeah, absolutely. And from your experience, Neeraj, what is it that changes in people once they've bought a term life plan?
So if you look at it, typically if you look at any family, right, a middle class family, married, having a kid, the conversations, if not every day, are typically about, okay, we have to save money. We have to ensure our kid goes to the best university, college, whatsoever. We have to buy a dream house. And those conversations are always happening, right? But when you buy a term life insurance, at least the family starts to feel somewhat comforted with, okay, there is a protection already there. So even if I'm not there or the main person is not there, I don't have to really think where the money is going to come from. So that gives a sense of comfort to the family and probably to the main person who is buying that insurance.
Yeah.
That gives you a lot of comfort, yes.
So how does this work? Let's say that I've got a monthly income of 20,000 dirhams, or we've got a household family income of 20,000 dirhams. That's 240K a year. How much does one insure yourself for? Is it 4 times that, 5 times that, 1 million, 2, 5, 10?
Yeah, and actually that is something that baffles a lot of people. People find it very difficult to reach that number, just like how you were asking me right now. Well, there are many factors that will go into calculating how much cover you need because it's a very personalized thing. You will have assets, you will have liabilities, which probably would back you. But as a rule of thumb, we would say that if you are under 40, you need about 15 times of your annual income as cover. And if you're over 40, you need about 10 times of your annual income as cover.
Right.
And the logic on that is because by the time you've reached 40, you've probably built some assets, you have some extra income, you have another source maybe, and that's why that comes down. Some of your liabilities are taken care of. But don't go just by this, this rule, because the other thing would be the liabilities that you have, the liabilities that you're leaving your family behind with. There could be a house and a mortgage to be paid for. There could be a personal loan to be taken care of. There could be an education loan to be taken care of. So one has to holistically look at all of this and arrive at the right number, which your consultant at Policybazaar will be able to help you with as well.
Incredible. Neeraj, I think the NRI mindset is the moment we have a little bit of extra money, we want to send it back home as quickly as possible. One of two things that we're going to do, either buy gold or send the money back home, right? So why should term life insurance be sort of factored into this what to do with the extra pot of money conversation?
So if you look at it typically, as you mentioned, like typically whenever I meet Indians, right, NRIs, specifically, the conversation is, should I invest here, send back money, or should I buy a cover in India? And probably because it's cheaper and so on and so forth. And in today's age, obviously with the rupee depreciating, people are like, okay, I get more value for money if I send back home. But they're not realizing one important aspect. I keep on telling people, your lifestyle, your expenses are built on the AED income or a USD income. Then how can your savings be in an INR currency, right? Because whatever you're planning in the future, you're planning bases your income right now. So that is what you need to protect. And as a result, what we've seen, right, over the years, what has started happening is, if you look at AED versus INR, probably 10, 15 years ago, it was half of what it is today, right?
Yeah, when I came to the country, it was 1:12.
Exactly, right? So now if you were taking a cover in India back then, you would be left with nothing. Almost you couldn't afford anything. If you had bought about a 1 crore cover back home in 2012, today the value would not be there, right?
Correct.
Because everything has probably doubled from an expense perspective. Whereas if you had $1 million dirhams of cover, probably if your surviving family were to move back to the home country, that'll still be a lot more than what you would have envisioned for, right? And that is why it is very important to always protect the income that your lifestyle is based on. And that is where a lot of people get it wrong. So I keep on advising people, always protect the income in which you're earning and basis that your lifestyle is based on basis which your expenses are based on basis which you are planning your future. That is how you need to look at it.
So how does an expat typically look at term life insurance? Because I guess you come into the country with the mindset of, I'm here for a bit and then I'm going home, right?
So if you look at UAE is built with expats, right? Majority of the population is expat. And rightly so, I believe my colleague Shilpa would also agree. A lot of consumers, when they speak to us, they have a mindset that, oh, I will leave this country probably 5-10 years later. Will the insurance be valid? Or rather, let me buy an insurance back home in the country. But the good thing is these covers are international covers. So once you buy the cover, obviously you need to be a UAE resident. But even if you leave UAE after your policy is started and everything, you can continue to pay the premiums from wherever you are and your family will get the money. So it's an international cover in its total sense.
You know, we started today's conversation by saying this is one of those things you just put off, right? It's like, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it at the end of the year, I'll do it on my birthday. But don't. Let it not be a someday conversation. Let it be a today conversation, because your life and everything that you've built in your life is worth protecting. Your life maybe has ups and downs, but your love, your responsibility, that's something that's going to stay the same, if not grow over time, right? So life insurance isn't just a product, it's a promise. It's a promise to your family that even when you're gone, everything is going to be okay, and nothing compares to that kind of relief and that kind of comfort. If you've been putting this conversation off just because you find it uncomfortable, don't. Just log on to Policybazaar.ae. You can speak to someone who will completely simplify the process. It's one small step. It's much more affordable than you think it is, and it's something that could literally save a life. Thank you, Neeraj, and thank you, Shilpa. Thank you so much for having this conversation.
Thanks,
Thank
Malika.
you.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.